Come on, old girl. You could do it. Come on. Yeah. There we go. Man, she fired up quite nicely. I'm pretty impressed. Every single time I go outside in the morning and start up one of my diesel trucks, it's always in the back of my mind, because we all know when you turn that key, cycle the glow plugs a couple of times. So here's the high idle right there. It always begs the question, with prolonged starts in the cold, will it damage my diesel engine? And with all the research and all the studying that I've been doing, especially working on diesels for many years, one thing that I'm learning is cylinder glazing. If you know anything about it, pulling cylinder heads and looking down at the bore of your cylinder, you're going to see a crosshatch pattern, which is very healthy, because the crosshatching retains the engine oil inside of the cylinders in order to keep everything happy. Now, of course, if there's not engine oil lubricating the cylinders, you're going to run those cylinders dry, and therefore you're going to glaze the cylinder walls, and you're going to actually smoothen the crosshatch pattern away from the cylinders so it won't retain the engine oil that you need. But in relation to cold starts, how does that actually damage my engine? So without retaining the lubrication inside of your cylinder walls, you're also going to induce blow-by. Of course, diesel blow-by is a different topic. For another day, I actually made a YouTube video on that, a full explanation. We're not going to talk about it in this one. But when starting your vehicle when it's like 30 degrees or below, I would say that cylinder glazing is going to be your biggest problem. Now, I know the majority of the time it doesn't even have to be cold outside. If your truck is just sitting there, that diesel engine is just idling for hours and hours and hours, that's actually going to cause cylinder glazing as well. I'm going to have a special guest on the channel from Ventec. This company makes LHGs, which make your truck heat up a lot faster, especially when you start them up in the mornings. I mean, we're talking like the truck will sit and idle for like 3 minutes before you take off. There's a lot of benefits in the aftermarket world when it comes to keeping your diesel engine lasting a lot longer, so I'm going to share that with you as well. Now, before we get started, we're just days away from closing out the contest for the AirDog lift pump giveaway. Every $1 spent on the Truckmaster Diesel website will get you one automatic entry in to win this awesome lift pump. This giveaway ends on the 8th of December at midnight, so definitely get entered in. But with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. But let's be real here, does it actually damage your diesel engine if you start the truck in the cold? Most drivers don't realize the damage that cold engine starts cause. Most understand that the cylinders require a thin coating of oil on the cylinder walls to prevent engine damage and to operate efficiently with the least amount of friction on the moving parts. Cold starts require the ECM or the engine control module to run the fuel mixture rich to compensate. But what's going on is the rich mixture rinses the oil coating off the cylinder walls, causing significantly decreased engine life over the lifespan of the vehicle. You see oftentimes drivers making the mistake of starting the vehicle up and leaving it run to warm up. During cold startups, the ECM raises the idle speed along with the fuel mixture enrichment, causing even greater engine damage. The fastest way to get the engine to temperature is to run the engine normally. And if you could be honest with yourself, most people don't want to just jump into a cold vehicle and take off driving, especially in the wintertime. But bundling up just for a few minutes and bearing the cold actually could pay dividends in the long run. And of course, another option is equip your vehicle with block heaters or coolant heaters. This will keep your engine at a reasonable temperature for faster warm-ups and faster heat. And most of the people that watch this channel that own a diesel all know that starting a diesel truck in the cold is unbearable. And of course, this is always why it's a great option to equip your vehicle with an engine heater of some sort, just to make it a little bit easier to start that engine up. Block heaters, engine warmers, things like that, they're always a good option. It's going to, of course, increase the engine's lifespan. But more importantly, it's going to keep those cylinder walls nice and happy, so it's going to allow your engine to last a long time. Modern diesel engine technology definitely makes starting a vehicle in the cold weather a lot easier. When temperatures drop below freezing, diesel-powered vehicles suffer the same fate as their gasoline-powered counterparts. But unlike the gas engines, which start when spark plugs ignite gasoline fumes, diesel engines rely on air compression alone. Now, typically the compression is sufficient to raise the temperature in the combustion chamber high enough that the fuel ignites spontaneously. So there's really no need for an ignition system to create spark. But in the cold temperatures, diesel engines use glow plugs to raise the compression temperature to a level high enough to start the engine. Now, back in the day, the first glow plug took 60 seconds to fully activate. But by the 1970s, the diesel glow plugs lowered the starting time to about 17 seconds, which seems like a long time to wait to drive. But the new modern day diesel engine systems rely on turbochargers and glow plug modules to start vehicles immediately. As long as you follow the manufacturer's maintenance guidelines, you shouldn't have any difficulty starting your vehicle up, especially in moderately cold conditions. And I thought this video would tie in perfectly with some of the content that I wanted to throw in here. I'm actually going to be going to a company called Ventec in Wixom, Michigan, and there's a really cool product that they're developing for the Duramax, but they already have them out for the Cummins and the Powerstroke, and they're actually using my newer Duramax for their testing. So I'm gonna leave my truck at their shop probably for about a week. So I'm kind of excited to see how all this goes. And we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about it, but I plan on making a full video on this. So let's head over there right now. All right, so I'm at Ventec right now. Actually, my truck is here for testing purposes, and we're gonna get more into why. And if you guys watch to the very end of the video, I'm gonna talk to you guys about why I'm rocking the stock wheel. Had a bad morning. But as you guys saw in the beginning, the explanation about starting your vehicle in the cold and how harmful it could be, but there's a lot more involved into it, and that's kind of why I have Kern here to explain this to me a little bit more in depth and sort of the products that they develop here.
Generally, the OEMs now, Ford, GMC, Dodge, they want you to start your truck, run it only for a couple of minutes, and get driving. The newer diesel engines don't generate a lot of heat, and letting them sit there and idle in the cold, yeah, okay, maybe it helps you to defrost your window and warm up your cab, but it is not good for the truck. It's because you're running too cold. You're not burning that fuel efficiently. You're risking doing things like glazing your cylinders. You're creating a lot of soot and unburnt fuel that's moving around your turbo, that's going into your exhaust system, that's going into your exhaust gas recirculation. It's just not good for the truck at all. So what you want to do is get that truck up to temperature as fast as possible. One of the ways the OEMs suggest that you do that is get in the truck and drive it, but then you're cold. And it still takes forever for that truck to warm up. So what do you want to do? You want to get something in there that's going to warm the engine and you up as fast as possible. And that's what we do. That's what the LHG, the liquid heat generator, does.
I see a big old Cummins diesel engine sitting over here.
This is actually how we got into the liquid heat generator. We had a lot of generator companies coming to us and saying, when we rent out the generators, people are not running them with enough load on them, and what happens is the engines literally tear themselves apart, destroys the exhaust, destroys the engine, and the engine manufacturers started coming to the generator manufacturers and saying, we're not going to warranty our engines anymore unless you can guarantee that they're running under proper load. So what we can do with the LHG is we add it to that engine when the generator is not running under enough load. It will switch on the LHG. That creates heat, which warms up the engine, which improves the combustion, which heats up the exhaust gases, which makes this thing run properly. And then we started thinking, well, first we started thinking, what about for school buses? So a lot of these generators that you see over here in the warehouse, these are going to be going out for school buses because the new diesel engines don't warm up enough to heat the inside of a school bus. Where you throw one of these on a school bus, it's going to defrost the window on the school bus, heat it up in a matter of a few minutes, and it's ready to go out and keep the kids warm on the road. Then we started thinking, well, what about the newer diesel trucks?
Like Duramax?
Like Duramax.
I like it.
Yep. Now all these engines are a lot more efficient than they used to be. The Duramax, the Ford 6.7, the Dodge 6.7, they are more efficient, and they don't generate a lot of heat. So often you're cold in the cab, they're not defrosting fast, and they're not burning efficiently, sometimes for as much as the first 30 or 40 minutes.
As far as starting your vehicle, like cold starts, I know a lot of people do that, you know, just start their truck in the cold. A lot of people like to plug their vehicle in also, which I'm not a big fan of because I'm worried that something's going to catch on fire. I think Ford had a problem with that where they had to tell people not to plug in their 6.7s because the plug would catch on fire?
The plug heater would catch fire.
Oh, no.
I think there's a recall on that. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
But I think there's a recall on that. In any case, yeah, I mean, plugging the truck in will help you get it started, but you're still running cold. You're not going to get the coolant or the engine up to the proper temperature to be running to be running properly, okay? So there's a whole cascade of problems that can happen when you're running cold, and it starts with poor combustion. So you know you've got poor combustion because diesel needs heat in order to combust. I mean, that's just how it works. And if it's not burning cleanly, then you're creating soot, you're pushing unburnt fuel through the system, and none of the ancillary parts of the system are running properly either. So if you want to talk about exhaust gases, in order for the DEF to work properly, in order for the whole exhaust system to work properly, it has to be at an operating temperature, proper operating temperature. And so if you're running cold, the longer you're running cold, the more you're going to collect up soot particles in there, the more you're going to have problems with particulates in your exhaust system. You're going to be doing more regens, you're going to be using more DEF, you're going to the whole system is going to be stressed. And when you're running at proper temperature, less stress on the system.
So is it better to just let the truck sit at idle for a very long time if you don't have, of course, that liquid generator? I'm sorry, the heat generator. But would it be better for it just to sit for like 20 minutes to get to operating temp before you drive it?
It won't. And that's the thing.
It won't.
I mean, if it's cold enough outside, it's not going to get to temperature in 20 minutes. So
it's got to sit for like 30 to
a long time,
like an hour.
We did side-by-side driving tests. So we're talking about driving the trucks with an LHG, with our heat generator on one truck and with one without it. Mm-hmm. And the truck that did not have the LHG on it was not up to temperature, driving under load for 22 minutes.
That's insane.
So if you leave it sitting, okay, you're not under load, you're idling, it's never going to reach operating temperature. You're sitting there just harming your truck. You're just ripping it apart.
And this is really for the colder climates, especially in the wintertime. I mean, if you're down in Texas, I guess you wouldn't really worry about it too much.
Yeah, if you're down in Texas, it's not really a big deal. But if you're in the colder climates, I mean, once you start getting into that even just 20 degree range, once you start getting below zero, below 32, you're starting to harm your truck. It just cannot keep itself.
So eventually, over time, it's just the inevitable is going to happen. You're going to wear these parts down. You're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on essentially,
Yeah, I mean, you're just wearing them out. So you're gonna put unburned fuel and soot all over your turbo. Mm-hmm. So that's going to wear that thing out ahead of time. You're pushing all this crap through your EGR.
Yeah, you're going to gunk up the internals of the EGR valve as well. I've seen this before.
Yeah, you've seen that. And that'll happen. Any sensors, anything that's in there that can get gunked up is going to get gunked up. And then you're going to gunk up your exhaust system. We sell our liquid heat generator, and a lot of people think, well, this is, it just heats up the cab or defrosts the windows. It's not worth the money. Well, it's not just about having a warm cab, and it's not just about defrosting the windows fast. Yes, it does those things. It protects the engine, and it saves you from having to replace that turbo, have work done on the engine because the EGR has problems, replace that whole exhaust system because it's a mess, Mm-hmm. And if you're burning more efficiently, if you're running at temperature and burning efficiently, you're actually going to get better mileage. Now, is it going to pay for itself in mileage? No, but you get better mileage because you're burning properly at the proper temperature. So you get that benefit too. There are other options. I mean, plugging in is an option. It's only going to get you up to a certain temperature. It's not going to heat the truck up to operating temperature, but it'll help it start up in extreme cold weather. And so for that, plugging in is a good thing.
But if you do have a Duramax, Powerstroke, or Cummins, I think it's extremely important that you guys stay tuned for this next video we're going to do here. But in the meantime, we got to tear that rusty truck up that's in my garage, that Facebook Marketplace deal. We got to get that thing moving, so definitely stay tuned for that as well. I'm actually in the process of working on it right now as we speak. But hey, I appreciate you allowing me to be here, explaining what you guys are explaining, and I'm really excited to see what you guys have in store. Yeah. And I think it's going to help out a lot of people. Especially in the winter.
Thanks for stopping by, and anything we can do to educate people about how to better protect their engines, make them last longer, and that's what we want to do.
So I'm going to go ahead and leave the truck here, as promised. I was actually loading my truck on my trailer. The trailer was icy. There's a lot of snow outside right now. And somehow my truck shifted on the trailer. I slashed one of these expensive tires on the trailer, so yeah, I put my stocks on with some sweet looking spikes. Kind of embarrassing, man, but I'm gonna go ahead and get that fixed. Looks a little silly though. If you watched the last video, I pulled the timing cover off of the front of the engine. Notice that the dowel pins were not actually sheared off of this engine, so it's actually still a good engine. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go ahead and just pull the engine, not in this video, later video. I'm gonna pull the engine, clean everything up. I'm gonna blast the frame, I'm gonna paint it. It's gonna look really nice. We're gonna restore this truck. It's gonna look awesome. If you found any value in this video, do me a favor and hit the like button for me. It's gonna get the information out to other people that wanna learn about this topic. And not only that, stick around, hit the notification bell as we finish up this truck. So I do plan on putting another engine in this truck and making it just so much better. I think you guys are gonna love sort of the angle that I'm going with this build here. $2,800, we'll see how it goes. And of course, on your way out, hit up the website truckmasterdiesel.com. The lift pump contest giveaway is ending in a few days. I can't wait to announce the winner on that, and I always appreciate your support. So thank you guys so much for that. It means the world. But again, we'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned.